so excited, man.
All right, man. Well,
Dude, I did not get any sleep last night at all as I was anticipating this event. Not a single
lost
wink.
all those winnings you brought in yesterday.
I came in on the first day, I made $1,000, and then I lost it all over the next 2 days.
Game of the
And then some.
qualifier stage. Well, here we go. We are live in game one. We're gonna have iNcontroL spawning as our red Protoss over on the right-hand side of Xel'Naga Fortress. In the top left, we have his opponent brought in yesterday, Minigun, and he's gonna be our blue Protoss.
Absolutely. So we do have a Protoss versus Protoss matchup here. The map is Xel'Naga Fortress. What do you think we're going to see on this map, man? Because it's certainly one of the new maps that were introduced in the newest patch. The Xel'Naga Tower in the middle is of the expiring variety. So that means we're probably going to see them not be able to use that in some portions of this game. But what do you think we're going to see in this Protoss versus Protoss battle?
Well, I mean, PvP has changed a little bit since the patch. Obviously, players are incorporating more immortals, and then the vision debuff allows players to hold the ramp much easier, especially on a map like this with a tight choke, a ramp that you can hold with 2 force fields very easily. So I think we're going to see both players maybe try to expand here. It's a lot less reliant on just the pure 4-gate, pure 3-gate Blink Stalker, or even 3-gate Robo Blink Stalker. You've actually seen a lot of players kind of diversify their builds, and people are actually experimenting right now with this matchup, which is great to see because for a long time it was pretty static.
Yeah, this Protoss versus Protoss matchup before was certainly one of the matchups that didn't have the variety or the stability that Terran versus Terran or Zerg versus Zerg even did. And I think Blizzard really rectified, or at least helped rectify that issue, because it's really a matchup where there's not enough of a defender's advantage, and making it so it's more difficult to warp up the ramp with that vision decrease. I think we're going to definitely see more of a long-term PvP matchup. We may see an expand. It's going to still be quite risky, I think, but certainly we're going to see more mortals in the mix and more variety.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that regardless of the patch and the changes that we've seen, expanding in PvP is still quite risky.
Yeah.
Just because of the warp gate mechanic and the fact that a player can just bring the hurt to your front door immediately, and as soon as they see you go for the expand, they know that they just have that slight edge and they can warp in another round of units that you're not going to have. And PvP also one of those matchups that's just so based around micro. Even small mistakes in the early game that allow you to lose one Stalker, one Zealot, things like that can snowball in PvP, and all of a sudden one player is way ahead.
Well, I gotta say, man, I would not want to be a Protoss player in today's world. It's not a fun match to play when you face off against your own brother.
Yeah, Protoss certainly not at the top anymore, I would say, of the worldwide statistics.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a Terran player and I'm slightly Terran biased, but there are 20 Terrans in GSL Codes right now.
I just looked at the ladder pool, or the group stage currently for the GSL and the top 16, top 32. It's stacked with Terrans and a couple of Zergs, and I think there's one Protoss in there. It's pretty rough today for Protoss players, but hopefully here at the IPL we'll see some Protoss players come up. I mean, both of these guys are very, very good, iNcontroL and Minigun, and we'll just have to see how things roll.
Now, they do have a slight deviation here. Minigun did grab 2 gateways very early on, and iNcontroL is actually going for a Robo. Minigun now going for a Robo as well. So both players grabbing a Robo. iNcontroL is going to have his Warp Gate tech done just a little bit earlier, but he got his second gateway a little bit after. Both players getting to the exact same point, just taking different paths to get there.
Detour A, Detour B, it's going to arrive at the same destination. One thing here that Minigun has going for him, he's got control over the Xel'Naga Tower in the middle. He's going to have an early warning system if iNcontroL decides to push out, which iNcontroL looks like he's moving out with 2 Stalkers right now, and that is going to be enough to overpower the tower as its life is about to expire.
Yep, and that tower, you know, I don't think either player really wants to invest too much time or effort in clearing that up right now because it's about to expire anyway. But they do need to be careful. We do have the first few Stalkers out on the field for both players, and it looks like iNcontrol's final build composition here is going to be 3-gate Robo, and there we have Minigun dropping a 3rd gate and the Robo Bay. So he's actually going to tech up to Colossus very quick here. iNcontroL does not have that Robo Bay. He's going to be stuck on Immortals, but both players will get these observers out and probably scout each other's bases and figure out exactly what's going on.
Game user, we have iNcontroL going for a Stargate right here, man. That is definitely going to be an interesting building to add on to his current production. 3 gates and a robotics facility. Going to try to support I would imagine Void Rays off of this Stargate as well. And we'll just have to see. I guess he's just going to go for straight up one base play, and he's going to try to outplay Minigun.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Void Rays, you know, do relatively well against Colossus if Minigun invests super heavy in Colossus. But he needs to be careful because of that.
We're back.
You had that open the whole time.
I did have the stream open the whole time. Sorry, I wanted to sneak a peek at the main stage, and I was hearing it. They have great games on the main stage.
So first Colossus going to make its way out here for Minigun, and once that comes out, he's definitely going to have a slight advantage here in terms of just raw power on the ground. Now, iNcontroL going to get his first Phoenixes out. He's actually not going with Void Rays, which is really interesting. I think Void Rays might have been a little bit more beneficial to him in this situation. And, you know I think it's going to be tough for him to make these Phoenixes work out.
I think maybe the Phoenix is a response to now the Immortal being so popular in Protoss versus Protoss, and I see the Phoenix as a unit that can actually lift off the Immortal and maybe take it out of the game for a moment of time and allow iNcontroL to maybe take control of the battlefield.
It may do that, but Minigun, as soon as he figures out exactly what's going on here, I know he hasn't scouted the Stargate yet, nor has he seen a Phoenix. He's actually being very careful with his observer, which, you know, in PvP you have to be careful with your observer. If you just run into your opponent's observer, yours will get picked off very easily. He's skirting the outside of iNcontrol's base right now, but he hasn't seen any of those important tech choices that iNcontroL is making, and he does have 4 Phoenixes out now, and he's starting to continually stockpile those unscouted.
At some point, once he gets enough Phoenixes out, he's going to be able to start to do some serious damage to that Colossus that's on the field. And there we see the 4 Phoenix. He picks off the Observer in the middle of the map, but that does mean that Minigun now knows that the Phoenixes are on the way. And the Phoenixes are going right into the main of Minigun. There's no anti-air defense right now.
Yeah, Minigun has virtually no Stalkers right now. There we see him warp in a round of 3, but he needed these Stalkers much earlier. He was caught totally by surprise here. Now his Stalker count is up to 5, so he does have 5 Stalkers out. That's going to help a little bit in dealing with this, but I mean, iNcontroL really just has quite a bit of brute force right now.
Wow, and he's just going to run right up the ramp. There are 2 Colossus on the top right here, and they're doing some pretty good damage as those units are clumped up, but the Phoenix is also getting in there, taking their shots on that single Colossus. They end up picking off both with the use of the Stalkers as well. Both armies trading pretty powerfully there, but neither player really taking an advantage.
Yes, trading powerfully indeed. Relatively even trade there for both players. I think that iNcontroL is going to continue to press the issue here. He did just warp in an additional cycle of Zealots. I don't know if he wants to do this right now, though, because Minigun does have quite a few Stalkers. He's actually focusing down those Phoenix, which I don't think is the best idea for him right now. iNcontroL going to be able to get right up in front there with his Immortals and start picking off these Stalkers. It's going to be close here. It's coming down to the wire.
And he does end up picking up that Immortal, removing it from the game temporarily. It looks like Minigun may be getting overpowered, but he warps in a couple of Zealots to help him out as well. It's such a close battle right now, but if you guys look at the supply tab, Minigun is ahead right now, and he's continuing to warp in reinforcements. I think Minigun is going to clean this up.
Yeah, I think he's going to clean this up as well. He holds on here. There is 1 Zealot in his mineral line, killing a few probes, but you know, that's nothing he can't deal with. He's also ahead by 5 probes right now, so he did manage to build a few extra probes during all this time. iNcontroL once again pressing in here, picks off a few additional units, but needs to be careful. I think his window of time has expired for a game-ending push here. He needs to back off and take it easy, but it looks like he might be going for a sentry contain here at the natural.
You know what? He's not totally committed to one base play because it is Protoss versus Protoss. And yes, he did add on that Stargate, but I don't think he needs to commit here, and he's going to do that. He's going to end up losing the majority of his forces. 1 Phoenix comes in, picks up that Immortal to help remove it from the game, but Minigun's just going to hold his ramp with ease.
Minigun will hold on here, picks off that last remaining Immortal, and that really was the only high-value unit that iNcontroL had available. Now he just has these 2 Phoenixes, 2 Sentries. He really has nothing to withstand the eventual counter push that will be coming from Minigun. Minigun should also bring a probe here. There it comes, leaving the natural right now. He'll build an offensive pylon, warp in maybe 1-2 more cycles worth of units, and then I just don't see how iNcontroL is going to be able to hold off the eventual push.
And you know what, man? This may be a time when a Protoss can actually expand safely. If Minigun wanted to, I feel like he could grab a Nexus. Maybe he's just going to go ahead and push out and try to end the game, though.
But look at iNcontroL warping in a few units there. They have not been spotted. He can go up the ramp, force field the ramp to prevent units from coming back in and start working down those probes. But He needs to make sure he has enough sentries at his main to keep Minigun out. He only has one right now, and he drops that force field a little bit prematurely, I feel. But those Zealots are going into the mineral line at the same time. Minigun could be in trouble here. iNcontroL, such a sneaky player. Gonna do a lot of damage right here, except Minigun blocking those Zealots in between the mineral line right there.
I think Minigun has the advantage right here when it comes to using his Zealots and keeping the enemy Zealots at that choke. And I think he's going to clean this up fairly easily. He has pulled up most of his forces, though, and I feel like maybe he should have stayed on the offensive, kept iNcontroL on the contain, but
yeah,
iNcontroL
forgot to micro his Zealots right there, let them all get stuck between that mineral patch and the assimilator, and took much heavier losses than he really should have right there. He would have been able to get a few probes if he actually ran those into the mineral line and started attacking, but I think he was busy force fielding back at his base trying to prevent Minigun from getting in, and now iNcontroL pretty much has the exact same unit composition he started out with, still adding those Phoenixes into the mix, but Minigun very intelligently has cut Colossus production. Yeah. So those Phoenixes really aren't going to do that much at this point other than pick off that single Immortal. But, you know, they're just not really adding a whole lot to iNcontroL's unit composition right now.
And you know what I really like about Minigun here is he's gone ahead and went for the Nexus. He knows that he's ahead in this game right now. And at this point, I feel like it is safe to go ahead and grab that Nexus. And like you said, I love how he stopped Colossus production. It's just not going to be that effective when iNcontroL's got the Stargate out and has air units on the field. Now, Minigun does have control of the middle of the map. And, you know, iNcontroL is kind of squeezed into his own little corner. What is he going to do to get out of this?
Well, you know, it's getting to the point now where both these players are starting to get mined out. You know, roughly 100 minerals per patch now for both these players. So it's getting down to the nitty-gritty here for iNcontroL. Minigun obviously has his natural expansion coming up right now. Yeah. He's going to be able to Maynard a ton of probes over, and he's already ahead in Army. So he's pretty much ahead in every category of the game right now. It's going to take a miracle for iNcontroL to work his way back into this.
I think iNcontroL's just going to wait, build up as many forces as possible, and make an attack as soon as that Nexus comes up and try to hit it before Minigun can reap any benefits from that Nexus. And really, that's the only timing window here that is going to be available to iNcontroL. And I think he's going to go right for that, man. He's moving out across the field.
That's actually a very good observation. I totally agree with you. He has one opportunity here to try and win this game, and I think he knows that too. iNcontroL being pretty aggressive right now. Minigun with a great spread, though. He's trying to do everything he can before the fight even happens to ensure victory, and right now his spread is just far superior to iNcontroL, and he might actually move out and pick iNcontroL off in the midfield here. This could be a disaster.
The only factor that iNcontroL's got on his side are these Phoenixes. How many units can he pick up and immobilize and take them out of the game? I don't even know if it matters, though. It looks like there's way too many Stalkers for Minigun. Keep in mind, Minigun can continue to reinforce. He has double the amount of Chrono Boost as well, and it looks like iNcontroL running into this brick wall at the very last second.
iNcontroL actually picked up his own Immortal right there with the Phoenixes on accident. Yeah, he used a full cycle worth of energy on his own Immortal and just not really utilizing the Phoenixes that well. They were idle for just about half of that fight. He must have been focused on microing other units, but I think he actually had a legitimate opportunity to win that fight right there had he microed those Phoenixes properly, but picking up his own Immortal and then also just not using all the energy on those Phoenix, I think is ultimately going to cost him.
And iNcontroL now battling the clock as well. The longer this game goes on, the more money Minigun gets, and the farther ahead Minigun gets in supply as well. Could possibly be the last battle here. iNcontroL fighting with everything he's got. Probes being pulled off the line for Minigun. Minigun realizing here he can sacrifice some probes as long as he maintains his Nexus. He'll be in an okay position, and it looks like he's going to do just that. iNcontroL has to pull away once again.
Yeah, and iNcontroL.
There it is.
There it is. Good game is called. Minigun will take game 1 of this best-of-3 series between him and iNcontroL.